How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm playing a little game called Survival Kingdom. It is a nice little pixel art sort of strategy game. We're gonna get started. Just click play. Not a whole lot else to do here right now. Now there are two different save files or save locations. Two of them are located in the Steam cloud, and the other two are for your local machine. I did the Steam cloud, so we're gonna load that one. So here we have the map. Loads are pretty quick, obviously, because there's just not a whole lot to load. Now, this is the only map you'll ever be on, and there are a few things to note here. So the idea behind this game is you are a tribe that has fled from your village and you're being pursued by orcs. That is about as deep as the story gets. Here you have the town hall, which is where you can implement a couple laws. There are 3 of them altogether. You can also adjust your taxes there, which increases the amount of gold you get per turn from your civilian populace. Obviously, it's not the only way to get gold, and as a matter of fact, I usually get far more gold simply selling goods at the market. But let's look at the barracks next. Here we have the barracks. We have 147 recruits available. That number is replenished every turn, but it limits how many units we can recruit per turn here. The sliders here are not the best. Like, I can't actually get it to do 10. It's difficult. It just wants to really do it fast. I don't know why. It's like a little bit too sensitive. Then here we have a couple windmills. Can't click on that. You can't click on the fields. Really, there's not a whole lot you can click on. You can see I'm starting to build a structure right here, and that's because inside this blacksmith, where we can buy armor, as well as build these monuments. I don't know why blacksmiths build monuments, but apparently they do in this game. It costs 500 gold a turn, and you work on that gradually. Now, one would think that maybe you could set these projects, and they would automatically complete every turn unless you canceled it. Nope, you gotta click on that one every turn, and it increases by 5% per turn, which obviously means it's going to take about 20 turns to finish it. I'm currently on turn 22, but I haven't actually been allocating gold towards that monument every time. So you might be wondering, well, why would you want a monument? Well, not really a good reason. It says the trader statue improves your market prices. That's hard to quantify. And I've been somebody who has rallied against the difficult to quantify upgrades. If you're going to, include upgrades in your game, it's nice if they actually have a tangible benefit, something that you can notice that it changes the way the game plays, something the player can notice. Increasing stuff by 5% doesn't really do that. You're better off making people wait a long time so they can get something really good instead of just, trickling down the terrible stuff a little bit by little bit. And then we have the market here, and as well as the jail. The jail, you can imprison your criminals or enslave them. Depends upon how happy your populace is. I'm not exactly sure of the difference between imprisoning them or enslaving them, aside from the negative popularity factor if you enslave them. The game does not explain a whole lot to you through the tutorial. We have several resources here. If we go into the build and upgrade menu, you can see all the different buildings that I can build and upgrade. My problem here, a couple of things. The temple, they have tooltips next to them, which are not very helpful, let's say. So the temple, it says it produces faith. Well, there's no resource that says faith on it up here. Nowhere. I mean, I don't see faith referenced anywhere. So how do I know what level my temple should be in proportion to my population? Because your population is growing every turn. And here we have a temple, and apparently we need faith. So what level should the temple be? I don't know. There's no number that says faith anywhere that I can find. So yeah, a lot of ambiguous just data. Like data thrown out there without any context or very limited context. The bakery, the sewer is another thing. It says increases healthiness. The interesting thing is healthiness is never really referenced here. I mean, if you look at the popularity tab, it doesn't say anything about health. So there's really no way to double check on health. Let me take a look at the statistics tab once. Healthiness, okay, right there it's telling you that's about the only place it comes into play. So I guess if these numbers start to fall into the negative, then you could say like faith, it started falling to the negative. Maybe you should upgrade the parish or whatever that building was. Let's go back there and take a look at it. It was the temple. Here's a real missed out opportunity though. As I've pointed out, there are multiple resources in this game. There's corn, flour, food, berries, wine, cloth, salt, and faith, but you don't see the faith, as well as gold, obviously, which is pretty much the universal currency. Now, there's really not a whole lot that sort of differentiates between these three resources. You can sell them at the market, but the prices they fluctuate between all of them, and in general they don't fluctuate very much. It's like between 2 and 5 gold, so you're never really situated in a position where you're not going to get anything for the goods you're producing. You're not going to fall in a hard time, essentially. And I think that could be improved. I think they could focus on, well, one year there's a real market oversupply of one good type, and you're not going to be able to really sell it at all. It sells for 0 gold. And then the other times, maybe, just make it a little bit more extreme. Make it fluctuate a little bit more, so stockpiling it is actually like a viable strategy. And that's another thing. I think if you're going to introduce additional food types, like, we grow corn, you turn it into wheat, or turn it into flour, then you turn flour into food, berries are turned into wine, then you have cloth and salt by themselves. Then you can invest in the buildings that produce those resources. In my opinion, the real letdown here is the lack of any meaningful difference from focusing on one over the other. Let's say I went down the road and mass produce a lot of food. It should open up options for me within the game that allow a slightly different play style. And the same goes for units in the barracks. Like, they don't really, the cavalry is the only one that even has a tooltip. And it says it prefers ranged targets. I don't know what the other units prefer. Like, what does the mage prefer versus the archer? Really, there's no distinction there. And once again, it's like you can't create an army that's tailored towards something. Like, if I was, there's a lack of options. It's essentially just a clicker. I think I would not regret saying that this game is largely a clicker. Those games where you just click the enemies until they're dead? That's essentially what this game is, except you open up menus and close them and just adjust bars and sliders from time to time. And you might say, well, that sounds like a strategy game. Not really, because this is just more of everything every turn. What will you do on a normal turn? Well, you're gonna go here, hire some units. Most likely, you'll just want to use all of the available recruits. You'll hire them like that. Then you go over here to the armory. You're gonna want to buy a whole bunch of armor for them, buy it like that. You want to do your statue that turn, like that. Then you want to go to your market, sell everything extra that you have to make some gold, like that. Then you're gonna go exit there, and now we're going to, I've done everything else. Then we're going to find some stuff to build. So we're gonna build farm, just like that. There, spent all the money, that's turn. Now here we have the report for turn 22. There we go, a whole bunch of data that is largely irrelevant. Now there will be these messages that come up from time to time. They're not very many of them, and I've played to turn 23 already. Now, I'm not sure how long the game lasts. I've never actually played through the whole thing. But up until this point, I had not really been interrupted by any messages. But apparently, the orcs are planning a huge attack, so let's go ahead and recruit some more soldiers. Let's see, let's just give it everything we got, as well as go to the barracks. It's a blacksmith, actually. Buy a whole bunch of that, upgrade my statue, but you get the gist of what's going on here. It is just a whole lot of doing this over and over and over again. And if there was sort of a different end result, if you could actually have different viable play strategies, I wouldn't be against it, really. I would think, it's a little repetitious, but it gives you additional replayability. It gives the game replayability. We're gonna do the next turn. Okay, here is the invader, the battle. This is random. Every so often, you'll be invaded by orcs. 880 orcs this time. I guess this is the big raid. And here's some nice little option. Unfortunately, it's not a whole lot of option. The field is just your standard battleground, your bridge. It adds more to range and subtracts from cavalry, which means that you're going to be shooting more at the enemy, and the enemy is going to be shooting more at you. The castle, you get to lose one level of your highest region building, and the forest sort of nerfs the archer power. We're just gonna do plain field, and here's how the battles work. You really don't have any control over what goes on. It's just determined by the game for you. I have lost one time so far because I didn't know what I was doing. Once I figured out that you just basically have to recruit troops every turn and you're pretty much guaranteed to win, then I stopped losing. So you lose armor if you lose. If you actually lose the battle, the game is over. This is sort of like one of those roguelite strategy games that they're going for here. But overall, that's pretty much the depth of the game. Now, the game teases you from time to time with some small events like, a wanderer came past your castle. Are you going to give him 20 coins? You know, he's begging for some coins, give him 20 coins. And you can do that. And there might be a little bit of an event, like the guards stay up all night if you give them some coffee. There are some flavor events thrown in there, but overall, the game is quite linear. I mean, I imagine once you get to the end of whatever this semi-campaign is, there's going to be no reason to ever play this again because there is no alternative strategy here. You're just playing through. It's like a walking simulator in strategy clothing, where you really don't have a lot of choice. I mean, like I pointed out before, if you don't have a big enough army to defeat the enemy, the game is over. So that's your number one priority. Everything in this game works towards that end. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It can be done, and this game is rather reminiscent to me of Lord of the Realms without any of the politics that made that game intriguing. Let's just put it this way. It needs more work. There needs to be more choice, in my opinion, for this game to be entertaining to me, for me to have fun while playing it. Otherwise, like I said before, it's a clicker. It's a walking simulator dressed up as a strategy game. So that's Survival Kingdom. In my opinion, it is really not worth your time, unfortunately, but I would like to see it improved. Like the aesthetic, like the setting, it's not bad. But thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.